Good morning. It is Friday. The weather looks pretty awesome as we go into the weekend for California. Some live camera stuff, or not live camera stuff, some live radar stuff showing those thunderstorms that moved through Orange County this morning. And you see it kind of wrapping around, coming from the east to the west, which is unusual, and it's because of a low pressure center that's creating this kind of a circulation. So we did see some pretty good, talked to a friend down there this morning, Danny McInerney, and he said, yeah, we got some pretty good cells going through right now. Took some pictures, and you can see it's very subtropical in nature and beautiful sky down there. Now this activity looks like it's going to continue for a little while today, on and off, widely scattered. But, it's not atypical for this time of year, right? We're getting into the North American monsoon time of year. This is subtropical moisture, which is essentially what the North American monsoon is, Gulf of California moisture moving northward. So that's the Southern California zone. Northern California has temperatures like these today, which are very mild. Southern California as well. So let's take a look. In the area down around Los Angeles, 77 today for a daytime high. San Diego, 74. Humidity is going to be high, so it's going to be pretty warm down there. Very balmy, like Hawaii, right? Just kind of very, very similar to that with the high humidities and the warm, mild temperatures. Central Valley, this is manageable. Tulare and Fresno, 98 degrees in Bakersfield. Not bad. 66 in Monterey. And then you get up towards Redding, Red Bluff, where when you say, you live in Redding in July, late July, and somebody says, hey, it's going to be 98 degrees today, you're like, I might need a jacket. Because Redding it's one of the hottest spots. It's Bakersfield-esque, and it can get up to 110. It's not unusual to see those bigger numbers this time of year, and instead you're at 98. 95 in Chico. These are the forecast highs for today, or the highs from today, if you will. Air quality, not too bad. The weekend looks pretty awesome. We're looking at more of this. I just view it as like bonus days because it's pleasant. This has been a mild Bay Area, Northern California, especially Central California period, where normally this time of year fuel moistures are extremely diminished. They still are low because it's dry summer, but they're not as diminished. We're not seeing, red flag warnings day after day after day. Last year, we did see a lot of those, and the year before that. This year has been very, very mild in my perception and just anecdotally. So there you go. These are the forecast highs from today. We're going to look at the moisture coming in from Southern California. Now you can see that low pressure center. So you see that little wrap in there? Well, actually, I got it wrong, didn't I? It's a little further south than that. I can't go much further than that. But you can see all this subtropical moisture. And this is moving up into Nevada and Utah, and it's going to create a lot of thunderstorms. And you see it creeping north just a little bit. We'll see. The model will dictate what kind of thunderstorm activity we could see in the Sierra Nevada. And then when you look at the marine layer this morning, see it, the footprint, there's Monterey. There's Bay Area. See how far inland it is? I mean, the fog looks like it's up into Vacaville and Davis, which in my mind, I look at that. I haven't looked at the profiler this morning, but that's an 1,800-foot marine layer, almost 2,000. How do you know that? Well, because when I look at this imagery, first of all, it's fog because the way it contours to the topography, right? The way it goes into the Salinas Valley, in through the Golden Gate Bridge. That's what fog looks like. This is what clouds look like. They're free-flowing. They're not being inhibited. They are impacted by topography a little bit. Certainly that's orographic lifting and things of that nature. But these move more freely. So that's fog. And when you look at it, the best way to look at the coastal hills in California is in your mind, just go 1,000 feet high. They're up there a little above that down around Big Sur. They're above that up north, but just go 1,000 feet. So when I see the fog that far inland, I go, well, it's certainly up over 1,000 feet. Looks to me like it got in over Mount St. Helena, or at least around it here. So it's, up around 1,800 feet. I mean, I'm just broad brushing it, but look at how far down it is in the Salinas Valley too, all the way down towards past Morgan Hill, certainly down towards King City. Okay, this is a great map. And see the smoke, Northern California. This is that map I told you. It's on my links, but use this bad boy. This is for you because it's like, what's today look like? Well, there's thunderstorms in Southern California. There's thunderstorms in northeastern California. There's a deep marine layer and mild weather in store for the Bay Area. It's smoky up in Redding. It's smoky up at the Butler fire, which is a fire we'll talk a little bit about today. And it looks like McLeod, Bernie, and MacArthur and those areas are going to have some smoky conditions. Okay, so this map, right? All I just did, there's no meteorology there, man. I'm just looking at the pictures going, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that, right? So it's like looking at a map. If you get used to looking at it enough, you'll go, oh, yeah. So I know what my day is going to hold for me today, just based on that. This is the live camera. I like to show this because instead of showing the profiler, we're on Mount Tam, 2,500 feet, looking down at about, certainly down over at least 1,000 feet. Yeah, no, not even 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet. So marine layer, 2,000 feet deep. We should check. I should check it. I don't know. Oh, because I didn't check it because last couple of days the profiler's been down. But anyway, it's a deep marine layer. So we see that. That's right now. That's this morning. And that's not just for Northern California. That goes all the way down to, this is, down towards Big Sur, down into Lompoc, and down by just north of Point Conception. This is the 500 millibar vorticity. And what we're going to look for here, we can see the jet stream, very much like yesterday, kind of a little ridge over us, and then a flat line, and then a little ridge there. That's what the jet stream is doing. And we've got these little disturbances here, and here's this little disturbance here, and we should be able to see, let's see. Yeah. So you see this kind of feeds into that thing that's going on down around Laguna Beach. So this little vorticity, low pressure, little kind of cut off low, is spinning up and pushing moisture into the Orange County area. So that's what's happening now. We have little disturbances all underneath this ridge, the ridge which is now relatively weak. That's why the inversion is so deep. And it continues. I'm just going to roll through this. This is Saturday. And then the trough dips down on Monday. Look at that. See that dip? So that's all. This is all. I won't get too granular because this model is not a granular model. But what I'm seeing is more of the same. So if you dislike fire and are hoping, in this case right here, to see some potential rain on some of those fires in Washington, Oregon, and parts of Northern California, it's not out of the question. It's not out of the question that we could see a little bit of rain, a little bit of scattered shower stuff, certainly north of Cape Mendocino, but right, that picks up the Butler fire, and that picks up the Green fire. So again, and it feeds a little bit. So what did I just say? This weekend's going to be awesome. It's going to be mild to cool. It's everything we get. Everything we get today is what we're getting tomorrow and the next day. Everything. Even in Southern California, I think you're going to see some of that activity is going to continue as that low moves up the coast through Orange County. So I would say you're seeing thunderstorms at least until through tomorrow, or the chance of thunderstorms, which is awesome. So it's a nice looking weekend, no big heat, air quality not too bad. But the big picture shows cooling that doesn't want to go away, And that, my friend, is what's awesome about the firefighting efforts, because if it continues this way, and CAL FIRE and the Forest Service are allowed to let the Green fire and the Butler fire kind of burn as controlled burns, which is pretty much what's happening, it's awesome. To me, it marks a big advancement in thinking in terms of how California is approaching this fire concern. We talked about it yesterday, how important it is to clean the forests, and it just is, and we all know that it's nobody's fault. It's just how it's been. We've been putting out fires for so long, so this is an opportunity. Here is the North America model, and all I want to show you here is the footprint. So this is this morning, and here comes the high temperatures, and this is this afternoon. So what you just immediately you can see, I'll put a circle around here, but you can see that big bite, right, of cooler air. I know it looks red and purple, but it's still cooler air. It's moisture air. It's higher humidity air. It's increasing fuel moistures, or at least maintaining fuel moistures. You get some hundreds down the south end of the valley. Down in Southern California, you get a really nice weather pattern. The heat is pushed further inland. This is for this afternoon. So that footprint, which is, we know what it looks like. It's basically the same footprint we had yesterday. Watch what happens as we go into Saturday. Same thing, maybe a little cooler. This is Saturday afternoon. And then here we go into, I think we can get Sunday afternoon here. There's Sunday afternoon right there. So it's day after day after day of this pretty mild weather pattern. And that is good news for us. And then look at this. This is on Monday afternoon, a lot of cooling. And that's that system that comes in. I might just do this. I'm going to put my coffee down. Thanks for bearing with me this morning. I should have thought to do this sooner. I'm going to go surface. I'm going to go precip. We'll look at the NAM. We'll go sea level pressure in this. And then we'll go, this is North American model. And we're going to look and see if that, I'm just raw dogging it right here. I'm just looking, okay, not a lot of wind. You see some thunderstorms up around Mammoth. Okay. Just definitely a onshore pattern continues. I was thinking there might, like see this here. I was thinking we might see something in there that would indicate, that's a high moisture content air mass that would produce that on the model, but it doesn't show anything directly related. Let's go another model. Let's do, we're doing this raw dog, like I said. Okay, so this is GFS, less granular, but goes out pretty far. Let's see, I'm looking for some rain. No, it doesn't really quite reach it, but the pattern is such. So what we got is probably, there's a little something. That looks like thunderstorms though. That's on the 18th. What I'm looking at is what CAL FIRE's looking at. I'm sure they've already done this a million times, and their meteorologists are really good. But what I'm looking for that, as they let these fires move around and burn themselves out and clean the places that haven't burned, kind of a controlled burn on these two big fires, but looking for a little bit of rain, because that would allow you more opportunity, right, to let it burn a little longer if you know there's rain coming in. But there's still a chance. Okay, so these are the forecast highs for tomorrow. That looks a lot like today. And so the Central Valley, Sacramento, low 90s, that's almost perfect. So this is your Saturday forecast. And again, Southern California, Santa Barbara, 69, Los Angeles, 79. Some thunderstorms possible again tomorrow down in this area because of that moisture. But tomorrow's going to almost duplicate today. So with that in mind, we look at the fires. This is the Butler, and this is the James. James is 17,000 acres, 17% contained, and it's burning. But they've got it burning in a way, they've really contained it nicely, and so it's burning this whole area out, and they've let it burn right down into. At one point, I miscalled this. I was calling that the McCloud. The McCloud's one more ridge over. This is, I can't remember what the name of this creek is, but maybe it's Salt Creek. I don't know. But then this is the Pitt River here. But anyway, this area's having an opportunity to burn. And it's burned back on itself. They're really doing a heck of a job. And you can kind of see the smoke. This is from the James, or the Green Fire. I keep calling it the James Fire. And I think this is interesting. So this is... see if I can get this going. This is the smoke. I wanted to first of all point out, there's the fire at night, kind of settling down, but you can see they're working it. And then in the morning, right, the smoke settles down. That kind of chokes the fire. That's why you saw the light go away. It chokes the fire. And then as the day goes on, here we are at 9 in the morning, smoke starts to lift. And you've got a pretty nice day. So the smoke down there, fairly manageable. Let's look at that one more time, just because it's instructive. When you look at how the fire burns, right? The fire needs air. Well, I think I can do it. Let's see. There it is. So it's burning, right? We got plenty of air, and then it gets too smoky, and the cool air sinks the smoke and kind of chokes the fire at night, in the morning. CAL FIRE knows that. That's why they go after it at night. And then it starts to lift, and the fire will have an opportunity to breathe, but they're minimize the hot spots, I imagine. So this is how it looks right now. That is looking towards the fire. This is a shot I wanted to show you because the Central Valley, or the Valley, the North Valley, Redding, Red Bluff, Chico. Look at you guys today. That's not bad. I think this is Snow Mountain here on the coastal range, right there, that bump. Yeah, we're looking to the west. So you can see the dry landscape certainly, but you can also see not a lot of smoke. Yay for that, right? So that's kind of awesome. Air quality, better than it has been. And we just visually did a cue. This is purple air. We'll look at it, and it will mimic what we just saw in terms of the smoke. And it's, again, bad. There are some bad smoke areas, certainly, especially Redding. But that makes sense. So here's the Butler Fire up in here. Not as populous an area, but here you got Redding, Red Bluff. And this is the smoke this morning that moved down into town. And it's pretty aggressive right now. So the air quality, not good. Redding's going to be in the mid-upper 90s today. Air quality is going to get better, which is awesome. But these reds, some of these places like Bella Vista and, what is that, Palisadro, those areas are getting hammered this morning. And I feel for you guys too, right? So what do you do when you live in one of these areas? Just close the windows. It's not the time to take the walk or do a workout or anything like that. Just wait. It'll get better this afternoon, and And you know what it's going to do? Tomorrow morning will be the same way. It'll be smoky again tomorrow morning. That's just the nature, and that's the downside. That's a small downside to them letting these fires they're managing these fires like CAL FIRE and Forest Service are managing these fires. I can't tell you how awesome it is to see. It really, for me, I've been doing this a long time. I'm not a fire guy, but I love seeing the progressive thinking here because it is brave, right? And there was a time when the smoke is there's people that are not happy with the smoke, so put this thing out, but they're weighing it out, going, yeah, this is an inconvenience, and we're sorry for the smoke, but we're in the long run. We're doing the right thing. And that's brave to do, especially, it's brave to do. Just because that's not how we've done things in the past. When I'm thinking of the past, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So air quality looks pretty good out throughout the state. Okay. That's air quality stuff. This is some smoke. I wanted to point out the fires up in Canada. Look at all the fires. I know. And California, not too bad. Not too bad. The orange smoke is what you don't want to be a part of here. And that's up in Saskatchewan. And I don't know how they're managing those fires up there. If they're letting them burn, or if they just, because it's a lot of tundra-y stuff up there, a lot of openness. So maybe they're just kind of letting it happen too. It's a different type of fire as well. Okay, these are red flag warnings in Washington, up by Yakima, Bend, Oregon, south to, I guess, what are we there? Bend, Oregon, Madras. Those areas have some red flag warnings. Southeastern Idaho has red flag warnings, and northwest Idaho. Air quality stuff down towards Phoenix. That's some smoke probably from the fires near the Grand Canyon. Here is the heat advisory for parts of the Kentucky, Tennessee, parts of Oklahoma, and then you see the green representing rainfall. So these are the forecasts, watches, and warnings for today and a little bit into tomorrow. Here is the forecast for today, or the highs from today nationally. You can take a look at those and just peek around. When I see 93 in Tampa, I go, ouch, ouch. 91 in Atlanta with 50% humidity, 60% humidity. So I'm not sure what the dew point is right there right now, but typically this time of year, if you got rain in New Orleans and 85 degrees, it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. I do horribly in the humidity. I just don't do well, especially in the South. It just kicks my bottom. Below average temperatures for the next 6 to 10 days. That's through the 27th, essentially. And I'm anticipating this to verify because the GFS shows that kind of trough hanging out. So what we're seeing right now, sometimes weather is super dynamic. Got a bug in here. And then sometimes it kind of just flatlines, and we're flatlined, at least on the West Coast, where we do have a little fire danger, but we always have fire danger. We do have a little air quality. We always have air quality. But in terms of spare the air days in the Bay Area and up in Sacramento, in terms of heat advisories, heat warnings, we're really crushing it right now. Here's that opportunity for some precipitation. I showed you this yesterday, and I got kind of excited because the Butler Fire, which is big, that would be an awesome event for them to get a quarter inch or a half inch of rain in here. So again, it's fantasy land, but there is that trough like we went looking for on the surface sea level pressure map. That to some degree wants to happen, or at least this model is going, yeah, we think there might get a little wet there, which would put it above average for this time of year. And then Pacifica swells up. It's been pretty good. There's the marine layer. It's kind of deepened. So now at this point, it's almost low clouds and fog, or low clouds. Dude just got a wave. Nice. Bend your knees. Okay. Beautiful day. And this is, you can always tell surf school because they're all just sitting around out waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. Like, it's awesome though, because the guy, I'm sure he's got him out there like Mother and the ducklings. It's like, okay, you paddle, right? Paddle, hard. You got to paddle harder than that. Harder than that. Dude, go. You got to want it. Yeah, buddy. See? So yeah, it's surf school, which is awesome. Good day. And then it's funny because Pacifica, if you could start here, this is kind of the learner spot. Okay, this set's going to clean up a bunch of dudes. This is sort of the surf learner spot here. And then these are kind of the guys this is like graduating to like the bunny slope or the intermediate hill. And that's a little further to the north. And the personalities fit it. This is Trussell's. They're calling it, what are they calling it today? 5 to 7 again. I don't know. I feel like they're calling it a little big. Because 7 foot, we've talked about the waves, right? How Hawaii, a 7-foot wave in California versus a 7-foot wave in Hawaii. I've been in Hawaiian waters, and I've been out on days, they were calling it 8 to 10. And I kid you not, it was at least 15 to 18 foot faces. That's how the Hawaiians call it. They call the backs of the wave, right? How big the back is. And in California, and most other places, people are trending, especially with the newer surfers coming in, they're just calling it as they see it, the height of the wave from where they're standing, right? If I'm standing in front of the wave. And so they're saying it's 7 feet high, which would be true. And why did the Hawaiians do that? Because they were trying to keep haoles in the 50s and 60s, mainly in the 60s, away, because the Southern Californians found out about the North Shore and they all wanted to go over there, and they rushed over there in the 60s, late 50s. Ooh, cool helicopter. Awesome. I love about San Diego is all the cool military planes and stuff. You just see stuff, man. I saw a hovercraft there once. But the Hawaiians were like, no, because Greg Nolan, those guys went over in the late 50s, early 60s, and they started surfing these waves, and they were calling them 20 foot, and the Hawaiians go, no, that's 8 foot. It was sort of to psych you out. It was kind of just like, you guys don't know what wave heights are. And plus, honestly, the sport of surfing comes from Hawaii, so if they're calling backs, then I think we should call backs too. But we don't. We call, in this case, I'm sure they're calling faces of the wave. A little history there. There's a lot going on with that. Like I still go to the North Shore. My son lives over there part-time, and the locals like I was out, I've been out a few times when it's like, they're calling it 4 to 6, and it's terrifying. I know, like Rocky Point at 4 to 6. You're like, sounds easy. That's head high for me. 4 to 6 means a body over my head, like maybe a 10 foot, 12 foot face. Anyway, a lot of people out. I kind of like watching the surf lineup. Here, this guy's got it right here. That's a fun wave. Trussell's, this is where the Olympics is going to be. Olympics are going to be. And it's such a machine, right? It's like Kelly's, but even better because it's the ocean. And here goes another guy here. He's got good speed. It's a little crumbly I think the wind's a little funky. See how it broke in front of him? Or her. Okay. Here's Lake Tahoe. Beautiful day on the lake today. Isn't that pretty? Beautiful. Lake Bigler. We talked about that before too. It used to be called Lake Bigler. 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 He was the governor of the state when the state capital was in Benicia, right? So it wasn't Sacramento, it was Benicia. And I think Bigler, and so they named Lake Tahoe, which was I don't think it had a name, and they called it Bigler, Lake Bigler, which is like, I guess it would have been okay. Because we just got used to it. Lake Tahoe is so much more awesome. Okay, jellyfish. We're going surfing, going to see Grandpa today. Awesome, he's 98. That'll be fun. We usually go down to the pier and I grab a couple of red cups. It says no beers on the pier, but we go right before the sign and sit in the bench. And so we're not illegal. And then we sit and we get about 6 inches of beer, or 6 ounces of beer each. he gets about 3 ounces done. He's pretty buzzed at 3 ounces of beer. And we sit and just watch, not jellyfish, but it's very similar to watching what we're watching here. It's really fun. It's quite enjoyable. He's got a pretty good case of short-term memory stuff, but he knows who I am, and he remembers a lot of cool stuff from the past. Again, Californian. I'm 5th generation. My kids are 6, so he's 4th. So the stories he's got, like he'll tell stories when he was a kid, like they knew guys who, fought in the Civil War. I mean, he wasn't hanging with them. They were old guys, but he was alive when guys that fought in the Civil War. Think about that. So I ask lots of questions, and he has his way deep memory is awesome, which is sort of, it's awesome. Look at the fish. This is a good one. Monterey Bay Aquarium jellyfish cam, and I'm not a stony guy. I may seem stony, but I'm not a stoner. But that's stony. You're right? It's awesome. I'm going to put this up on the TV when I get out of here. And then Mount Shasta, a little bit of snow, a little bit of smoke. You can see the haze out there. We'll take a look at the salmon. What I got to do is, nobody's really chimed in yet on this, but I am curious why the fish seem bigger now than they did in the early run. And God, it's such a dramatic scene, the salmon runs. When they come up, when they're moving up the river. And what I mean by that is, right, you see they're all getting, a lot of them, very few of them are making it through. A lot of them are getting rejected and having to rest and go back. And if you imagine that draw that it is to get you to that's their whole thing in life, right? I got to get to where I was born so I can lay my eggs and die, right? So it's your last thing you're doing. And this is the last thing they're doing. And if you watch it, and every once in a while you can kind of key on a fish, like that little guy got rejected. Some of them, they're really doing good right in here. They're doing really good making it. Like you'll see them disappear. But that's hard. I thought it'd be easier over here, but see them kind of getting tossed around in the whitewater. These are fish, I mean, they get super tired and they'll sit here. And that's when the bears come in. They'll sit here and just try to rest up. And I believe salmon, I should know this, but I think salmon on their run quit eating, right? So they've come from the ocean, they're fattened, they fatten up so they can make this happen to get to the tributaries that they were born in to lay their eggs. But if they're, think about this, if they're jamming up there and they're getting pounded back, they're getting exhausted, they're not eating. I'm almost positive they stop eating. And so they're not able to refuel easily so they can rest. And I imagine they lose many, many fish that just die that can't, that end up kind of in the shallows. You can see them in here. I know, it's kind of sad. It's beautiful and sad all at the same time. All right, so puffins do rule. That was awesome yesterday. Thanks, you guys. It's cool. I love that you guys were like hanging in. It's going to be a good weekend. I'll try to do something tomorrow, but things are right now we're in a nice pattern. This is an awesome, classic California, even with those thunderstorms in Laguna Beach, classic, awesome California day. Enjoy it. I'll see you back here tomorrow.